So I've hinted at this before in some of my live streams and a few of the videos I've done, but I'm changing water right now. You heard that right. I am changing water right now. I'm walking around my fish room fish nut coming into the back area, and guess what? I'm changing water right now. What's up, YouTube? I'm Trent Weldon. Welcome back to my channel, Weldon Aquatics. I gotta show you a new project I got completed, and I'm in love with this one. So, probably one thing we always hate as hobbyists is water changes. You know, it's water change day, it's maintenance day. I found a way to simplify this. This isn't the first time this has been done, but this is the first time for me, and this is huge for me. So let me explain. So you know, in my fish nook, we've got 5 freshwater tanks right now. There used to be 6, I'll explain later. But with 5 tanks, actually there is 6 tanks down here because we have the 220. So 6 freshwater tanks. And if I was going to do water changes on a 125 gallon tank and a 220 gallon tank, you know, we know that that's going to take a little bit of time. But I found a way to do automatic water changes, but the only way it's not automatic is it's not on a timer. So let's go back to my maintenance room and I will explain. All right, come with me. So let me really explain this. Sorry, we gotta come back to my dungeon back here. It is a mess. I have so many projects going on, but we've been back here before. So let me show you what I'm working on. So we've seen this before. We've done some updates back here. We've done some projects back here. But now everything is finally tied in together, and this is working magnificent. Like, I am so excited about this project. Really, this has made my fish keeping hobby like to the next level, and I love this. So let me explain. So previously, I've talked about how I had the water valve installed back here to get direct water to my fish tanks as I was going to be pulling water from there. Then we did the video on the DIY inline thermometer. You know, that way I can monitor water temperature as I'm doing a water change. And we ran specifically 100 feet of hose with the homemade kind of Python system to do our water changes. Well, now I've made it to where this is more of an automated system. The only way that this system is not automated is I do not have it on a timer and a manifold valve. Something I'm considering, something I'm looking at. I'm still kind of tweaking some things back here. And of course, after you do this once, you realize there's a totally better way to do this. So if you can already notice, I've made some changes back here from my original design. So the original design, we had this branch off this part of the valve here up to here, but I had 2 separate lines going off that I was going to use as a drip system. Well, then I got a smart idea of, you know what, let's make this really a water change system. Not just a drip system, but a water change system. So we branched off the valve, came up to here, we put a union. Now, unions are my friend. The reason I have unions is so that I can disassemble these 2 canisters. And see, this is what I mean, I'm still working back here. We've got a slight drip right there. I gotta take care of that here. So that shows you, like, this is running. I am running water through this as we are speaking. So set the temperature. It's gonna come up through here. Now this first canister is just a pre-filter. So I want to kind of take out any sediment that hits this. Then I have another union so I can separate these 2 if I ever need to, but these screw off and are really easy to change. And then this comes to a carbon block before it goes out. Now previously I just had the carbon block here. I added a second canister just kind of as a redundancy factor, as I wanted this to really be an effective water change system. Yeah, but even when I was using my homemade Python to do water changes, I never had this, so this is kind of an upgrade that I wanted to add into here. Now we're going to branch off from here, and previously I was going to be using some silicone airline to do this and some micro ball valves. You've seen these things, there's been plenty of videos on them, they work. The problem I was running into is that the pressure was too great. It was actually blowing those valves off, even with a pressure reducer. So as the water comes through here, it's going to hit this pressure reducer. So this is going to take the pressure down to 25 psi. And I wanted to do that just to make sure I wasn't going to be blowing anything off, as I do have a lot of line running. So I recommend this to even if you're using If you are going to be using some silicone airline, it's very doable in the micro ball valves. That all works. But I upgraded it and found a way to make this better as I used some RO tubing and push connect fittings. None of these push connect fittings are leaking. None of them have lost connection due to pressure. I highly recommend these push connect fittings. And I bought all of this off of Bulk Reef Supply, primarily because they sell that for the RO units. But I found my way to make this for my auto water change system. So I have this running through here, and it branches up right there, runs out and feeds the main fish nook area. But this other line here runs down the wall and around to the 220 gallon. I'll walk you over there and show you that in just here in a moment. Now the next thing we added back here is my official RO unit. Now what this is going to do, think of this as just a massive pre-filter for water. This is going to strip out anything chemical wise in your water that you do not want entering into your tank. These are primarily used for a saltwater tank, so yes, I am setting up a new saltwater tank. That's why I have this here. Now when you run an RO unit, you're going to have what we call the RO water produced and then also the wastewater produced. Now the wastewater is water that the filter is deeming was not fully purified of all the imperfections, so it's going to go down typically the drain. Well, I wanted to find a way to utilize this water as really it's no different than if I were to just fill my water up from the tap and put a water conditioner into it. And I don't necessarily need the water conditioner now because I'm using this carbon block that's acting as my water conditioner. This is going to pull out any ammonia or anything of that nature, or chlorine that's going to be coming through the water. Now with the wastewater line though on this RO unit, I put a check valve here, but then connected it up to my main water system. So now when I am producing RO water through here, the wastewater is going to do a water change for me in essence to all my tanks. So I'm really not wasting that water per se, as I'm going to be feeding my other main display tanks with that water. And the check valve here is just so when I am running a water change through this system like I am now, that I won't get anything backing up into the main filters and ruining anything. So there's the lifeblood of my system. But now let's go check out the real show. Alright, so we're back in the main fish nook. And if you come up here with me, so this is where my water line branches out. So this is black RO line. I ran up along the ceiling here with the air line. Runs all around, and I have teed off of it where I'm going to be feeding all my different tanks. So let me show you here. So this is the 125 gallon. If you can see this, I have water feeding into it. I have water feeding into the 33. I have water feeding into both 40s, and I have water feeding into the 20 long. All right here, see, I have water continually feeding into this. Now what I have done, and I previously drilled the 125 gallon tank up here in the right hand corner and put a bulkhead in to service this before I actually got this tank up and running. Now a hint here, if you're gonna be drilling a tank, I highly recommend you do it before you install it. It's a lot of work. I did not drill the 240 gallons down here before I really got this up and running and ready to install, but I have now. So I have a bulkhead in each of them with a 90-degree elbow acting as where I want the water height to go. Now as water, what's going to happen here, as water drains into the tanks, water level is going to rise, it's going to overflow and go down into my wastewater line and down to my floor drain. I drilled these tanks in place when I got this finished, and let me tell you, it is so difficult to drill these tanks when they're in place. It just creates so much more work. So Sparta's tank is also drilled, got that run going, and I love this. I love that I can go literally turn a valve open and I'm changing water. So in all of them, I did include a push connect on the RO line, a needle valve. This way I can just fully fine tune how much water I want flowing into each tank. Now for example, to get a proper water change done on the 125, I'm going to be flowing in a higher rate of water than I will, let's say, into the 20 long. So those needle valves allow me to adjust how much water will be flowing into each tank. A good example is like the shrimp tank. You don't often need full water changes on this, so in essence, I'm just going to make this to where it's more like dripping in versus completely, flowing in at a steady rate. Now, excuse me. Now with these tanks all drilled, so all of these tanks right here are drilled. I also drilled the 20 long and got that connected to the wastewater line. That's a simple procedure. Water flows in, water overflows. But now let's talk about the 220. Now this was something different. So with the 220 gallon here, I really couldn't drill this to overflow. I thought a lot about trying to take one of the extra overflows and potentially using as that, but I couldn't really figure out a way how to make everything function properly. But we are getting on a water change on this. So let me explain. It's gonna be kind of hard to see, but I'll do my best to show you. Actually, you know what? I've got a light. Hang on here. Let's see if this helps at all. All right, so we're down here. So I have it flowing in here. And that's going to be, so that's where the water's flowing into. But now if you can see here, I have a float valve right here. Now this is a Watchdog float switch. You can build your own of these. King of DIY has a great video on this, but as I was researching the parts I needed to build it, it was actually the same price for me to buy this one versus building my own. So I have it plugged up here. That's the running the power off of this, but I have it plugged into a small, about that blue pump down there. About a small 400 gallon hour pump, nothing major. But now what is going to happen here is water flows into the sump area, and that float switch rises to the level I have set it at. It's going to activate this pump and pump water, there we go, through the wall. Now let me show you where that goes. And I got pretty creative here. And it's actually running right now. So as water flows through here, I connected it to a 40 gallon breeder, which is going to be connected here, hit up the wastewater line, and down into the floor drain. Now the reason I have the 40 breeder back here is I'm hoping to breed some crayfish back here as a food source for my puffer fish. We'll talk more about that later, particularly as I will be feeding live food. We'll talk more on that. But I wanted to give you a full rundown of my auto water change system. So I think it's pretty sweet. Sorry, I'm turning that light off. Too many buttons. All right, so I really do enjoy this. Like, the fact is that I have water changing on the 220 gallon right now, and I have water changing on the 20 long. I have water changing on the 240s. I have water changing on the 125, and I got water changing on the 33 long. That is how I do my water changes now. It's so simple, so incredibly easy. So if you are in a position you can do this for yourself, look into it. Like I say, it's super simple. The push connect fittings, the RO tubing, you can't mess that up. I have a video planned on how to drill a tank because I've got another project coming down here. We're going to try that out on. So guys, there it is. That's probably my new favorite project down here, is that I have an auto water change in essence happening on my fish nook right now. It makes maintenance so easy. I can do this every day if I want to. I can do this 2 to 3 times a week if I want to. I mean, my real plan is about 3 times a week. When I get home from work, I'll set a timer on my phone, so an alarm. So I'm not just going to continually let water flow. But the way this is set up, if water did continue to flow and I forgot about it, I won't be in any harm, won't do any damage. But I'll set an alarm, go do my thing with my family, check on my baby, take a shower, come turn the water off, go to bed, and I've done my water changes for the week. Like, it's just, this is the coolest thing. This is actually, to be honest with you, this was actually kind of the long-term plan all along when I first started planning this. And I should have ran all this before I put all the tanks in, but didn't think about it, didn't really get around to it. And now, here we are though. We got it working, got it running. So thank you for joining me on this. It really has been great. I've really enjoyed sharing this with you guys, especially, as I'm excited about this project. So again, I'm Trent Weldon. This is my channel. Peace. I'm Trent Weldon. Thank you guys for joining me. As you can tell, I'm having a good time tonight. I'm happy, I'm joyful, just loving life, loving my hobby. So we'll see you guys on the next one.